Thank you very much for joining me on the Voice of Job Seekers. This is Mark. And if you've been following me for a short time, welcome. And I appreciate you coming back. If you've been following me for a long time, thank you so much for coming back time after time for this podcast. And I want to be sure that you are following the articles as well as the podcast. So you can always go to the voiceofjobseekers.com. I've been writing there since what, July 13th, 2011, was the first blog post. And September of 2013 was the first episode of the podcast. And I remember there were 5 episodes that I did with interviews at first. And actually, it started out being a collaboration. I was going to have a whole crew of people with me. It didn't turn out. Everybody got busy, which is a good thing because everybody needs to make a living, but everybody's doing well. And I still keep in touch with all of them to some degree. And this podcast is created for the job seeker. And I am the voice of job seekers. I've been so for all of these years. I want to be sure I am still serving you and still helping you with your job search, even though you can also go to the Job Scam Report on Substack, markanthonydyson.substack.com. You can find all of my information about combating and avoiding job scams. It's a real big deal. I'm spending probably the majority of my time of content creation over there. And I've got a lot of things going on over there. We've got a podcast for this. Well, you can find the Job Scam Report podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Substack, and really a bunch of other places. Trying to get to some other places as well so I can be everywhere possible. But right now, there's like maybe 14, 15 directories I'm a part of and hope to increase that some more. But really, job scams are what's going on. A lot of you have gotten those texts, those emails leading you to a fake job. Hopefully you haven't been a victim, but I think the job scam report is helping everyone. But meantime, here back at the Voice of Job Seekers, I'm here to help you with your job search and your strategical needs as far as getting real deep. I do cover some on the job scam report, but really I've been writing about the holistic job search for 14 years now. Well, going on 14, really longer than 14 years. But I wanted to present today a topic I've talked about a couple of times through articles. Maybe once or twice I might have talked about it on the podcast, but I just want to present again a rehashing of talking about desperation and about 5 ways that you can avoid just being desperate. I do have some articles. I will try to find them. We're talking about going through hundreds and hundreds of articles to see if I can find anything from the past, but I wanted to bring it up again because a lot of us are in state now. We're either facing layoff PTSD, which is the experience of being laid off, and some people faced it several times in the last 5 years. So I'm well aware people face. And also, people also have unemployment fatigue. If you've been unemployed for a long time, this is not your favorite time, especially if you don't have any job prospects. And you keep hearing news about how layoffs are still happening and it's getting worse. It's harder to interview. It's harder to find connections. It's hard to get a way in. It's hard to find out your certifications you've received in tech. A lot of those are beginning to time out because employers are beginning to place those features and those particular subject matters and those subject matter experts with AI. And it's even going beyond. And it's something a little bit ugly right now. But I reassure you, just as everybody as has everybody migrated to getting online from not being online, this too will be something we'll all have to get on board, whether we like it or not. And maybe sometimes you've gotten some accidental experience, especially if you're using apps to pay for things. As you begin to use apps to start your car, to get in your house, to bypass certain security measures meant for your safety, those things have been AI generated to some degree. Even theory has really been AI. It's just been advanced and repackaged as something else. But rest assured, again, you will migrate with this. But I want to run over some quick tips on not getting in the desperate place. And these things you can apply right now. I know there's a lot of you who do this one thing has made a difference in your career and has helped you migrate from one job to another. One thing you could do is participate in your industry's organizations. Now, a lot of times these organizations are the first to hear about the technology that's coming down the pipe and may even have presented to their groups about how they can use it in their jobs, in their position, or find out where you can get the certifications or the education going to be related. But you have to be involved in those groups and participate in those groups to really get the full benefit. If you only have a membership because it's required by your state or by the skills that you have to maintain your skill levels, then it's going to be really important for you to do if you want to find out what's next in jobs. If you're part of committees, you can really get intimate knowledge because people who are moving organizations are also moving these committees along and being active and promoting and being a brand ambassador, so to speak, for setter for the industry. So those things are relatively important. Those also can help you get ahead and finding out what's going on in your industry. Now, you may not even have an industry. Okay. You may have to choose one in which I would say the default measure would be to join some LinkedIn groups. Even if you're just an enthusiast and you might have an interest, you can go ahead and join those LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups. And a lot of times you don't even have to be in the profession to get the in or to be led into some of those organizations. You just got to show your enthusiasm and that you really want to learn. A lot of times, those very active groups have Zoom meetings all the time, and they have meetings. They have if money's an issue. Another way to go is to do the LinkedIn groups or the Facebook groups are talking about those things. So you can stay on top of your industry, but if you don't have an industry, then you'll have to pick something and try to get it. Maybe you could pick two or three things, and maybe one thing interests you. You can pay to be an active member and to really get in on some of the goodies that you wouldn't get in the free membership. So my suggestion, number one, again, your industry organizations, be a part of them. Two is to build social proof. And is, in short, is to show your work online. And if you are afraid of social networks, that's okay. YouTube is a great way to film what you're able to do and show how you do it and get interactions. It doesn't even have to be 100% competency. This is a great way to learn, but also a great way to get interactions. Your enthusiasm may generate some interest from other people who can help lead you down the road. Not necessarily get you a job, but by giving you introductions. And maybe a person can take your knowledge from point A to point B. There's a lot of things that can happen, but I think some way, somehow, if you haven't done anything online, YouTube University is great. In other words, all the things you learn how to do is basically on YouTube. But I would even say creating the content and learning through the way is learning by doing. I have a friend, Keith Townsend. If you listen to our early episodes years ago, the way he started, his first videos were he would take apart a computer and put it back together again. Now he is speaking on podcasts, lots of them, writing. He's called the CTO advisor. If you're into the kind of thing, it's great to follow him. But how he started. And he's built quite a name for himself, built quite a brand for himself. Number three, give more than you take. A lot of times people will look to learn, but they don't learn to give back. It includes you giving without expecting anything back. And it always turns out, and I say this with all sincerity, because I index so much on giving, I get back. I don't try to match ROI, but giving gives me a feeling in my soul and in my interests. And I think it could be you too. Generosity could be something you could lean in more on your job search, whether you've been looking for a long time or a short time. And you might be feeling a little bit desperate, but if you lean in on giving, I think you can get something back. Because a lot of good people still exist and they may say, hey, what do you need? And you could tell them. Now, I wouldn't say the first thing I desperate need of a job, but there are ways to say it without necessarily saying it. And you could say it in your own way. But I would be very cautious of it, just so you're not giving so you can get. But you'll have to give 10 times, 20 times in order to get something back. And sometimes it's a lot better, sometimes it's not. But where you get used to the radio silence of giving, sometimes it feels like you're isolated. But I would say, again, if you're in for the long game, not just for this job, but for the next one too, you won't mind journey at all because you'll find others like you. And then exchange becomes pretty critical with your job search. So, number four, it leads to this point is emphasize the value exchange. We tend to look for opportunities to let's put it this way. We tend to look for opportunities will be self-serving. We want the easiest path, knowing the easiest path does not exist for most of us, unless we've put in the work for all those years. We've done all the networking, we've done all the giving, we provide references and resources to people who were generous with our time. I forgot the Latin term is for this, quid pro bono, I think it is. This for somebody check me on. But I think a lot of times those situations do come very naturally without necessarily pushing for it. But I think if somebody gives to you, learn to give back first, even when a person asks. Now, I wouldn't say give even if somebody doesn't want it, not what I'm suggesting. Well, a lot of times, most of us needs help in something. How savvy are you in being able to anticipate kind of need out of someone? What if it's somebody else who was job seeking and they possibly have some credentials that you don't have? Are you willing to refer them to job lead? That's a true test of understanding what the value exchange is. The great value, a lot of times, is just knowing someone that whenever you hear them talk, you're learning so much. And all you have to do is listen, a value exchange. And by listening, you're getting a lot out of it. Person talking how they function, and they love conversations and they love to think out loud and they love being heard. That's a value exchange. Another way to get out of desperation mode. Get out of desperation mode, you're going to have to learn to separate your needs and wants from the things that will fill your desire and satisfaction to give back. A lot of us want to give back, but we just don't know what looks like. But a lot of times we're in so much in need, you may not think you have enough to give back, but you do. Number 5, be prepared for every step of the job search. And at the beginning of every job search should come a lot of preparation and a lot of research, such as a list of companies, and the list of people who are working in those companies. And perhaps even a list of companies and people working in those companies, and maybe creating a list of who other people know that they can introduce you to. Then doing the market research. Is this something going to work for you financially? What are the salary demands? What are the certifications, the educations, the experience levels you need to have, what to expect at each level? You'll have to get down to brass tacks. But a lot of times we start on a job search looking for anything, when the answer a lot of times is when we break out what we know versus what we don't know. And many times what we know is enough. The question there will become, is it something do I want to pursue again? If you're looking for a job right now, you're trying not to go back to the same way. I'm not suggesting a dog should return to his vomit. I am suggesting sometimes a new venture may not be feasible at the moment, especially if you know the market's kind of tight. So again, just to recap, how to stay out of desperation mode is, for sure, one is get in your industry organization, learn to participate, and not just be a spectator, not just pay the dues, but get involved in committees, maybe try to get into an office, get involved locally, go to the conferences, go to the freebies. If you can afford to go to conferences, do it. Second, build social proof. Show what you know, show your work. Give your take on what kind of the skills you use and how you use them. Maybe even to give a take on how you can use them better. I would say these days, if you don't want using LinkedIn is great as a great way to platform and engage others in a conversation, gives you more visibility, could lead you to more opportunities. Or go use YouTube and show what you know, and perhaps you might be able to engage. There's nothing wrong with doing both. Give more than you take, just a philosophy, really, and it's a mindset. I'm going to be a contributor, and I contribute, and you're not counting the ROI, you're counting it makes you feel useful and you experiencing some professional growth. Emphasize the value exchange. And if somebody's given to you, be sure you find ways and be thoughtful in ways to give back. Sometimes you might want to give and not expect back. There's nothing wrong with the exchange, but sometimes people just need help. And for me, sometimes it's giving, knowing that I'm not going to get back, it ends up being a lot, not something I would think about. It's a response. And then you go and you see how the person has been helped, and it makes you feel real good. It does me. You can give your take on it in the comments wherever a thread is where I'm discussing it. You can feel free to comment there on on Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube would be where it is, or any other platform you want. Be prepared for every job search, for every step of the job search is number 5. And really, it's about planning. It's about being strategic and understanding the roadmap you want to take. And I'm not saying it has to be set in stone, but there is something valuable about making the best of the opportunities you have starting at the beginning of job search, and try to map out everything. Your salary expectations, where you want to work, who you want to work for, because all it comes down to is what you want to do and where you want to do it, right? And pay is one of those things where pay is changing all the time. And what looks like generous pay a couple of years ago may not be the same now, because the economy changes and the industry changes. Those things really matter. I do have an article I wrote a long time ago. I may attach to it where I talk about it. And I have talked about it in articles and mentioned the article in the past, but I think it's a very timely topic now, because a lot of people are feeling the heat of long-term unemployment, or having been laid off multiple times, or the uncertainties to come, or job sets that you may have to have here in the future. But let me know what you think, and I'd love to be able to discuss with you further on a larger scale in a group setting. Or if you want to send me a LinkedIn mail, you can send to Mark Anthony Dyson on LinkedIn, or you can look me up on YouTube and comment on this video, which will just be an audio file, by the way. But I appreciate you listening. For those of you who have joined me all these years, or just for 1 month, or just for one episode, thank you very much for listening. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. And you guys have a great day.